At this time, it is my pleasure to call the Hanover Finance and Personnel Committee meeting for the Hanover Borough month of August 2025 to order. Can we call for, let's see, call to order. Public comment, I guess, is the first thing. We're not taking attendance. I have in my hand one first public comment, and that's Mr. Holt. You're welcome to come forward. Are there any back there? Sorry.
Thank you. First, I want to say thank you to, he's not here tonight, the chairman of the Public Safety Committee and the Police Department, because in the Third Ward, we're feeling a little less unprotected, neglected, and underrepresented. And we appreciate the speed warning signs up and the fact that we at least have a chance to be heard on a four-way stop at the intersection of High and Maple, and we appreciate that. I also want to thank you, Chairman of the Planning Commission, for the work on the zoning amendment and the map that you're going to debate tonight. It's been a long time coming. It's got a ways to go. A lot of time has been spent on it, and I've sat through just about every minute of it. I think I missed one or two, Mr. Chairman. But I'm just going to encourage you to think long and hard about how we're going to go from this new start or restart or kind of shift transition, and think about being a little bit more consistent in the enforcement, fewer waivers, fewer exceptions at the drop of a hat. The exceptions and waivers, and let's just look the other way, is what got it over decades and decades and decades. Nobody's here when that all started. And it's going to take a long time, but we in the Third Ward have been dealing with a lot of the exceptions and waivers that were kind of inconsistent and resulted in things that are detrimental to the neighborhood. And thank you.
Okay. I also have Jordan Ilyas.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Borough Council, it's actually been since 2019 since I've been here to present to you guys, so thanks for having me and letting me present. I'm actually here because I'm trying to maybe understand a path forward, and I don't know, maybe there isn't one, but I've been talking to Eric Maines and pretty much everyone. I went to Planning Commission for 25 Maple Avenue, and that's the old Smalls Auto Parts, to try and work through some relief on zoning. And I guess I just wanted to let you know my experience. It might be opposite of what maybe you just heard from the past gentleman, but I've done the McAllister Hotel, and I needed a lot of zoning relief for that project. I've done 108 East Chestnut Street, where Greer's Burger Garage is, and I needed a lot of zoning relief for that. And then I did the original Utz Chip Factory, which I also needed zoning relief on. And you guys have supported me, the Zoning Hearing Board and Planning Commission, on those. This one, I kind of hit a roadblock. So maybe things are changing, and if that's the case, that's fine. But I really think that we presented well for the Planning Commission and well for the Zoning Hearing Board. In fact, we had one of the top litigators here with Jeremy Fry with Barley Snyder, and he left because he thought we won the hearing, and then we came back with denial. So I guess I'm here tonight. I have a few points just to kind of put out there, because I think you guys are all going through maybe some zoning changes, and I would like it maybe to be considered that this is a property that could be changed for zoning to allow my use. So I have a few of these papers printed out. I didn't know there would be so many. Do you guys want these, or do you just want me to talk down through them? I'd like mine. Okay. 25 Maple Avenue, and it's the old Smalls Auto Parts.
Mr. Rose, if I could just remind you, we try to keep comment to within 3 minutes. If, as long as you can do that, you're welcome to
That's why I'll give you this.
be quick. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I also have the owner of Smalls Auto Parts here with me and my realtor, just to maybe impress upon some of the points I made, so I don't know who else.
We'll spread them around, just.
Then I'll keep going. This property is uniquely zoned, number one. As you drive north from the square on Carlisle Street, the CB district starts on this block. However, when you continue on Carlisle Street, this is the only property not sitting on Carlisle Street that is used for residential purposes. You almost get to Dart Drive, and after Dart Drive, it is only properties on Carlisle Street that are zoned CB. So this sits on a little peninsula of that zoning. So it's actually really strange the way it's set up. And I believe it was zoned that way for Smalls Auto Parts. So it would make sense to put it consistent with the other uses. It's right behind that, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, Chris Trump built both those properties and marks it right there.
Yeah. The properties to the northeast, south of this property is zoned residential. Likewise, on the east side of Carlisle Street, only the first block is in the CB district. So this would bring the west side into conformance with the east side. So I don't know how much you want me to go down through these. You guys can read them. I'm just letting you know what I experienced. I love to redevelop properties. I think long and hard before I even come to, talk to Eric or talk to the Planning Commission or the Zoning Hearing Board. So I'm just trying to feel this out. I think we have a good chance even at an appeal, and I wanted to throw that all out before we go forward spending extra money for you guys or for me. So if it's something that's not really, interested in change or interested in seeing this rezoning or this project happen, that's up to you guys. My pipeline's really full and I'm enjoying it. My heart's here in Hanover. I've done a lot of redevelopment and I love Hanover, but I also understand if things change. So that's kind of why I'm here. And then my realtor, I'm probably past my 3 minutes. Sorry, my realtor's here and the seller as well. So thank you.
Sorry. That's all the first public comment I have papers for. Is there anyone online? No one? Okay. We'll close the first public comment portion and open it up again at the end of the meeting. At this time, I'll ask our solicitor to acknowledge our executive session held this evening.
Borough Council had an executive session this evening from 6:15 to 7 o'clock p.m. Involving the following matters under Section 708A4 of the Sunshine Act, Hanover Public Library, and the sale of fireworks in the borough as a transient retail sale.
Thank you. At this time, the chair asks for a motion for consideration of the consent agenda, agenda item 5. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor of approval of the consent agenda signify by saying aye, please. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Approve advertisement of ordinance. Is there a comment for that from someone on staff or committee? Seeing none, will someone make the motion?
What is the specifics of the?
This is under set, you don't, AJ can speak.
Okay. AJ's coming forward.
Sure. This is one of the many topics we covered at Public Safety Committee. This was a fairly simple one. It's East Park Avenue. You'll find the pictures in your packet. It's more of like an industrial area. Folks were starting to park there. One of the reasons was it was difficult for commercial trucks to make that movement in and out of there to deliver to Schmuck's, to back to Style Line Kitchens, the railroad there. And what?
Piece between the old railroad freight station and the cell phone antenna.
Exactly. So there's gates back there to get into the cell phone antenna area, a couple dock doors on Schmuck's buildings back there, and of course the Style Line Kitchens at the end. The reason why folks thought it was okay to start parking there, as they were there and the trucks tried to get around, they actually mowed down the no parking signs. So as we talked about that in public safety, correct. Yes, on the left-hand side as you're traveling towards. Yes, that too. So we had requested for no parking along there. We had heard some comments about allowing some parking there on the weekends. I don't think we're opposed to that. All of council is here tonight if you'd like us to make that amendment to this ordinance, we could allow some parking in that first 100 feet. We would have to push parking back about 50 feet, 55 feet off of the intersection, and then possibly allow some parking on weekends, an additional about 50 feet, and then go back to no parking all the time after that. As like I said, it is an industrial area. So if that's the interest of the council, we can certainly rewrite that ordinance and propose that for the council meeting this week, or certainly it can be sent back to public safety.
I would like to request that. I do see parking there on Saturdays as part of the market. People walk around. It also is being used for a supplemental parking for the downtown, one of the downtown churches there that's using it as well. They use the parking lot next to Scott's building, right there on Carlisle Street and on Railroad, and then that spot as well. So the request was for weekends that you could park, but not during the week. And I don't think there's maybe there is a high usage during the week. I don't know what for. Employees, whatever. I don't know what's there, quite honestly, to be parking there.
Sure. So what it is not only the truck move it in and out of there, for the trucks to get into Schmuck's storage yard, if you refer back to those photos, and their dock doors, they literally have to pull onto railroad property and then back across. So there are multiple times the entire width of the alley is taken up with truck traffic. I spoke with Schmuck's again today and the railroad and witnessed that very busy period going back and forth. So that's the reason for not allowing. It's also not conducive to public parking up at the farther end as the bank falls way off. And then, like I said, it's a series of dock doors and entrances for the commercial business there.
AJ,
So.
On that parking with the trucks, is there any trucks that use that on the weekend or just Monday through Friday?
It is mostly Monday through Friday. I can't rule out any trucks, but most of those businesses are closed now on Saturday and Sunday. Schmuck's used to be open on Saturdays. They aren't any longer. The cabinet place would typically get nothing larger than a box truck, so it would be able to, as long as we restrict about, like I said, that first 50 feet, the box truck would still be able to make it back there. Sure.
With,
Isn't it in a weird way, we're asking, not even asking the railroad essentially, we're saying that people can use private property, i.e. the railroad's property, conceivably competitors, the trucks with the trains, to turn their trucks around.
They have a good working relationship being neighbors there, so they do allow that. And basically where the parking is, it's right off of that. There's not quite a full shoulder there, but yeah.
Held up there, the truck turns.
Sure.
And God bless the truck driver that can make that maneuver.
Right.
Because I'd wipe out 2 buildings and 7 vehicles in the
Right.
process, but it seems odd to me here that we're mandating the usage of someone else's private property.
So we would not be restricting any private area. This would just be shoulder that we're talking about.
So this is our property or public property?
It's
The
right
street.
of way, correct.
Okay, I just thought that was, okay, that's fine.
AJ, minus the 50 feet, how many parking spaces are we talking?
Not many.
Exactly.
6
There's
maybe.
there's also the confusing aspect, people who aren't paying attention, I can't park there on Friday, or I can park there on Sunday means I can park there on Wednesday. They don't read the sign. You also live in a world where more and more commerce truck drivers are traveling at night, at least the sane ones, because it's a little bit safer, and it's not uncommon for deliveries to come in 3 a.m. Trucks to sit, it can unload themselves. There's a lot of things to it. I heard what you said, Counselor, but I disagree with the weekend aspect. So, my thoughts. Yep. So, I guess that's the decision we have to make. We have it before us whether we modify it, which is to the suggestion, or whether we approve it as is, which is 7 days a week. It is closed
Correct.
for parking. Okay, that's the
I
question.
feel that if people are parking there now, it's for a reason. If people can't park at their residence or whatnot, they're gonna need a place to go, and if it's kind of off the beaten path there,
Mhm.
if they need it and they're parking there, I don't know why we can't give it to them on the weekends or something.
I agree with Councilor Loganbaum, so if we eliminate that, whether it's 3, 6, 10, whatever, people parking, then we need to offer an alternative.
Yeah, most people were working.
Where's
How's
that at?
We need to offer an alternative somewhere.
Yeah, where is that?
I don't know the answer to that. That's a problem in downtown. But, you know, conceivably, we're just moving them from there to somewhere else that's already another problem. And I just don't want to accentuate another problem that we already have. And I don't mean to be with someone that doesn't have an answer to the question. I just see that as an issue.
Anybody else want to weigh in? Okay, so I guess the first thing we would have to do would be to amend what's proposed to go with what Councilor Hegberg is suggesting, to allow for everything but the 50 feet closest to, give me the word there, Railroad Street, thank you, is closed, but that remainder will be open on Saturday and Sunday, I guess is the best wording for it. Is that a consensus opinion? Okay, would you like to make the motion in that way?
I'd like to make a motion that the ordinance be revised to include parking of being allowed on Saturday and Sundays and closed for parking 5 days out of the week during business hours.
A second?
I'll second that.
And do we have is it consistent with our policy that Saturday is 12:01 a.m. and Monday is 12:01 a.m.? Just,
Not to complicate this.
yeah, that's
My
what I'm
apologies.
trying to get it
Coun-
right, because I know we
Counselor-
have a few things that are funky here.
Counselor suggested business hours. So that would mean parking would be legal typically from 5 p.m. Friday evening
Okay,
until 7 a.m. Monday morning.
right.
Schmucks opens at 6.
Well,
So, as we talked about, the original 50 feet off of the intersection will stay closed regardless of what we amend for the weekends. That first 50 feet, so trucks will be able to make that movement in and out, will always be restricted with the passage of this. We're just talking about those extra 4 to 6 spaces that may fit in there, if they would be available, like we said, Friday from 5, I believe is what you're proposing, until Monday at 7.
Good. Okay. Everyone got that? Okay. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay?
Nay.
One no, rest yay. Motion passes. With that. Oh, okay, yeah. I guess next we have to authorize the advertisement of said ordinance. That's- Yeah. Did your motion include the advertising of said?
we surely can add that.
I think so. Okay. You okay with that? Yeah. Okay. Planning Commission, 701. Anybody speaking to that effect?
Should be Mr. Hegberg, correct?
I can address this really quickly. So as you saw my presentation last month about the suite of zoning changes, and certainly heard from public comment that they're coming in front of you, now is the time to begin some of the formal semantics, if you will. The first of which is to actually begin to advance this document to the necessary entities. They'll take a look at it. Certainly our Planning Commission will get a chance to be re-engaged in it. We heard some conversations tonight about some things that they wanted a second look at, certainly from council as well as Planning Commission, so that opportunity will be afforded. York County Planning Commission will be reviewing it. Once we have those comments, then we'll decide whether they're substantive or not, whether we can move it forward as is with minor changes, or whether they're significant enough that we need to rewrite some things and then resend it back through York County Planning as well as Planning Commission. So the first motion is simply to ask you for permission to be able to advance that document through that process.
I have a question. If you're updating the comprehensive plan, which is at 7:02 here on the agenda, how can you forward a draft ordinance and a map without taking into consideration the 20, 30-year comprehensive plan without?
So a couple points on that. I think first of all, we've addressed the zoning ordinance a couple times before based on the current comprehensive plan. And true, yes, we are going to be next year looking at the comp plan. But if you've heard me before also say to you, I'm going to keep changing the zoning ordinance to keep up with things. So as soon as we would get done with the comp plan, we're going to be looking at the zoning ordinance again anyway to make those changes. I would prefer to advance a suite of zoning changes and not wait for a year to a year and a half until we're done with the comp plan effort. That way these are up and protecting the residents in the community, and then we can change them if we need to.
I don't know, to me, a zoning plan, add to Councilor Greenholt's point, is like a 20 or 30-year vision of what we're doing. It isn't something that changes every month, week, year with the requests that we have coming in. Maybe I'm
Yeah, that's not entirely true.
misunderstanding this.
Yeah, so your zoning ordinance is the regulation part of things. It's not really a vision. It's simply putting teeth into the vision that is set as was meant by the comprehensive plan. So we've been working off of the current comp plan, which you have in effect now, which is your joint Penn and Hanover plan. The zoning is just the tools to enforce it. So when we want to shift the vision, we have to go back to the comp plan, which is going to be what we're doing next year.
Now, is
Okay.
this part
And
of
it's
it
usually
to-
only for 10 years, not 30 to.
Well,
Your comp.
It's a
whatever, I'm
10-year
being,
comp
you
plan.
know, whatever. I'm also concerned.
I would like to,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
and yeah, I was hoping I could get through all my 3 questions before we would have a lot of input here. In keeping with the definition, just as for people that maybe who are online or will be online later or watching this later, the definition of a comprehensive plan, and I think it's important to say it. So now you'll correct me if I'm wrong about any of this, okay? So a comprehensive plan is a long-range plan looking 20 to 30 or 10 into the future. It addresses a wide range of recommendations relating to land use, transportation, parks, open space, agriculture and rural issues, community facilities, community character and identity, housing, neighborhoods, and economic development, among others. Now, is that pretty
Absolutely.
straightforward?
Yep.
Okay, now in keeping with what we just said there, now that we've defined what it is, why would we forward a draft and map before council and citizens have weighed in? Because once we weigh in, wouldn't you have to resubmit it if you make
Yeah.
changes?
So in moving this forward, public engagement's going to be one of the first pieces. So we're going to get that public feedback, and that was to my point of, then we have to evaluate, were those changes enough that we need to go back again, or were they not enough? Because keep in mind, your planning commission spent the better part of about 6 to 8 months working on this, so it's been pretty well vetted through a lot of things. Obviously, it has the court of public opinion that it needs to go through, and we'll do that, but this motion is just to begin that process.
Okay, because I was looking at it, we didn't get this till a lot later than I was hoping, but I think the P for permitted, MU for mixed use, and SP for special exception. I don't know if council's really taken the time to look at some of this in your ward, because what your vision may be, and maybe the united vision that we had at our retreat, you may want to take a look at some of that, because what you have allowed in the downtown as permitted, I have an issue with a few of them, and I don't know, did the citizens get to take a look at this now online? Can they see this?
So as this begins to move forward, it becomes a public document that we begin to share and
Oh,
review.
okay, so then we
Again,
haven't-
you're just starting the process. We're not at the end where we're going to have a hearing and officially adopt this thing.
Oh, okay.
So yes, there'll be ample time for your input as well as public input.
Okay, because I was going to vote to table this tonight, so, but we can't
I
because.
really would suggest you not, only
All
because
right.
the process has to start. You know, if we
but-
table it, we're not going anywhere.
Well,
We
just the
can't
fact
even
that
have
you
the
said
conversation.
citizens haven't seen it yet would be enough for me to say we move it forward, because they
And-
need to see what it is.
I agree with you, and that's what this is doing, is moving it forward so they
And,
can.
and the
Okay.
items that you pointed out were not changed by the zoning commission. They were approved by the council the last round
Right.
in the down. So, I mean,
Well, I
it's
put
okay
teeth in
to,
it now.
it's
I was
okay to
looking at
change it, but it's not, it's, those were not the items that were addressed.
All right.
Anybody, anything else?
Okay, so this is just the beginning, Eric. We're going to have a lot of input from the public, from council, from anybody that's involved in this, correct?
Absolutely.
It's just the baby step.
This is the legal requirement we have to begin that process and push it out of the nest and into the world, and that's what we're doing.
I don't know, I would say maybe, and I'm ignorant, and I'm sure I am, but I don't know enough about this. Quit helping me, Bill. I don't know enough about this to support it or not support it, to tell you the truth. So I don't know what I'm signing up for here.
I believe what he's trying to say, in other words, this is a very preliminary early part of the process that we have been following forever, and that it is the most engaging portion of leading to what you're all asking for, which is communication with you and with the public and with the shareholders and the stakeholders. But it can't move forward, ironically enough, without you saying, hey, let's do the bare minimum, is what it sounds like he's asking for.
Well, I'm one of the only remaining, I guess, members of the original group that created the joint comp plan that we have today with us in Penn Township. Dory, you would know that better than me. But, this is, Bruce appointed me to do that. And I don't know, I've been involved with it for quite a long time, and I don't know exactly where we are with all those.
Yeah, the only other comment I'd
so-
make, you guys have changed your zoning ordinance. This is the third time now that you've been through changes. So
Right.
this isn't any different than the other times I brought it to you. Certainly the suite of changes is a bit more sweeping, but it has to be to keep up with the community, to keep up with the struggles and the challenges you have.
Our
But it's
zoning
not-
is all about redevelopment. It's not development anymore. There's
Correct.
little to nothing left to develop. So everything needs to be set favorable to redevelopment, which that's what Justin was talking about earlier, which is very important. Otherwise, we're going to end up with a mess.
I would still suggest, even on the first page of identity, when you scroll up, what's permitted in the downtown, what's mixed use, you need to look at some of that.
Yeah.
Okay? Because I don't know where you see Hanover 10, 20, 30 years from now. But if you look at it now and you're looking to see something better, you might want to take that permitted to special exception. I'm just throwing that out there, but I see what you're after, but you see what I'm after.
I do, and
Right,
maybe
and-
what it is maybe if you're concerned, coming to the planning commission is probably the best, because that's an environment where it's kind of a sleeves rolled up, let's talk about it sort of a thing. That way, before it lands in front of you as council, you'd be able to have some say and hear from the planning commission too, some of their thoughts. We usually have the planner who helped us draft some of these there, so he can offer some feedback on that as well.
But not everything should be a special exception. I think that's one of the points you were trying to bring up. We need to have rules, regulations, whatever it is you want to call them, that facilitate the redevelopment of the downtown. I don't want to call it a brownfield because that's, a bad connotation. But we need to have rules and regulations that encourage people to do things, not just people that we know, like yourself, that come in that will allow special exceptions and so forth for it. I'm not trying to say anybody's getting any special deals, because they're certainly not. But in a lot of the ways, to me, it seems we have it set up where it's discouraging for outside investors to want to even be bothered with this. And, my wife and I have got a lot of investment, for just two people, in the 3 or 4 buildings that we have, the Young Manor, the old post office, 22 Carlisle Street, and every damn one of them was a fight to get this and that, because you had to have sprinklers, you had to, all this stuff, which encourages people to say, screw it, pardon my French, I'll just go outside into a greenfield thing and do something there, which doesn't, it furthers the decay of our downtown.
Yeah,
And requires everything then to require some sort of government stimulus, grant, what have you, because you're always $1 million short of what makes economic sense that you could do on your own.
If
Am
I can
wrong?
try and get us back to center here, it's the consideration, as you can all read, the forward of the draft ordinance and map to York County Planning Commission.
So I'm sorry, I'm
you're-
not classic.
you're-
I drift off onto a tangent, and I know
we've all
that,
gotten
so.
a little bit, yeah, over. Is there anything specifically to the point? Any other questions asked before I call the question?
Just want to ask Carol something. She was working on a special exemption bill. So you're finding a problem with like mixed use or different areas that, where it says special exemption. Are you having a problem with what's on the papers as of now?
I don't like a couple of things that I see, you know, and if I'm looking at my Ward 3, you know, do I want a, I don't know, when you look at some of this stuff on here, and you'll see what I mean when you go down through it. I mean, do I want a, you know, a big Walmart grocery store down the street from me? Do I want, now I'm being nice here with some of this example, but, you know, some of that stuff to me looks like that shouldn't be permitted. I wouldn't like to see, and then they're permitted and they don't have to come and ask us anything. They can just put it in there without any of us having a chance to say, you know what, that's not going to be a good thing there.
Well, where it says that you have to go for a special exemption, that doesn't have to be granted, Eric. That can be turned down.
But permitted is permitted.
It's permitted.
If it's permitted by right, then it is permitted by right. It goes through. If it's a special exception, then that means it goes in front of zoning hearing board, and the zoning hearing board is the one who will hear the case that's put in front of them to determine whether it's good. One of the things that's changing in this zoning ordinance is we're going to augment your zoning hearing board. 3 is not enough opinions, input, and looking at these, and so we're going to expand that by 2 more so that your zoning hearing board will be 5 members, and you're getting a lot more diverse opinion. And certainly the other important point is, even as a special exception, this council always enjoys the right to become a party to a hearing. If something comes in front that you're like, I really want to have a say on that, you guys have that power as a council to be able to say, we want to be involved in it. We want to enjoy our party status, and we're going to be right there at the table, and, you know, we'll have Attorney Schultes be involved in it and go from there, so.
So you're saying that even if you don't live in the area, but you're representing a people or people that are, you can become part of that?
No.
Or you have to live?
I'm saying you guys as council have a legal ability to always be enjoined in a zoning case. You get that by right. If you see a case and you have some considerable concern or favoritism, maybe it's something you really think is great, you as a council legally can become a party to that hearing. Doesn't matter where you live. It is a lot different when we move away from it and start talking about, can a neighborhood be a party? Can somebody down the street be a party? That is a whole different ball of legal wax.
Right, well, I know that we have addressed the density problem in this town. This is exceedingly important to our town because this is where a lot of our problems are coming in. We don't have enough parking, and we overload. Like a single home can be turned in, if it's possible, by those who are investing to try to get as much livable space out of that home with apartments, okay? And they overlook the parking problems, creating density. You know, right now,
Yep.
okay,
There's already rules against
we're
that.
having problems with walkers and that type of thing. The town is become loaded down. And, you know, it's just, I know certain people love density, but I invite them to come move into our town. Just
Yeah.
love it.
Again, if I can pull you back to all this, we got to get this started. That's all this motion's for. This is all great conversation. This is the conversation we want to be having at
Happen in
Planning
time.
Commission and other parts when that time is correct.
The
But
parts
right
that
now,
I
we-
hear, and the parts that I've heard about is expanding the zoning hearing board. I don't know that I like that. And it's the disinvolvement of the council with some of the zoning hearing stuff. where they're-
Moving from conditional uses to special exception.
Yeah, and what I've had constituent come back about, who was a former employee, that said they used to do it that way, and they changed it to the way we have it now for the reasons and the problems that it caused. And I'm here to tell you, I don't know enough about the whole situation to be able to vote on that intelligently here. So I would vote to table this whole thing right now, I believe along the lines with Mrs. Greenholt's points, until this is better explained, presented, and sold to the council. That's where I am with it.
Am I
That's
trying to
what
hear
the-
all of this? Am I to understand that you want to see what is yet to be done? You want to see the document more in its final form before it goes to the next preliminary step?
Yeah, and a formal presentation of the whole.
Are you
thing.
fearful that it is already accepted and out of control? Or are you fearful that you won't have your say in what it's going to be? Because that's not the process.
No, I'm
He's advocating that the process start by submitting it. I just to agree or disagree, but having been through this before, to get in front of the eyes of the people who do this in York County, to start communicating to them what we're doing. They're not dotting I's and crossing T's. They're looking, I would assume, at a higher level to see how it fits with maybe our comprehensive plan as well as their comprehensive plan, and possibly any other overlaps of uncomfortableness that might exist with, say, adjoining municipalities that they're aware of. I'm not saying your concerns are not at all value. I'm
Right.
just saying you're stopping the process here tonight, and he's trying to advocate that the process, this is,
I'm also saying
early
that I don't
stage.
think more government is the solution to it. And I don't mean to get too, off the board to the right either, but maybe I'm conveying my own ignorance to all the details of this situation.
Well, I would say
which
that-
I should better know, which I do not.
I would say that Eric has done presentations on it to the council,
Yeah.
number one. Number two, it'll be out for review, for comment. Number three, the planning commission spent 8 months on this, around and around and around on many of these comments. That meeting is open to everyone. So to go back and try to essentially say you disagree with the planning commission at this moment, before it's even gone out for public review, I think is premature.
So are you saying that if we approve it tonight, there's going to be, when it comes back to Bill's meeting, the week 4 meeting, or, it may not be next week, the week 4 meeting,
Months.
there'll be another chance to review this and say yay or nay?
There's many chances, and once the comments come back, it's going to go back to the planning commission to sort them out.
So we're not approving the final gig here
No,
tonight. We're
no.
approving
Advertising
whatever, and
it.
our week 4 meeting that Bill leads.
You're approving the advertisement for public consumption and for council input.
Okay.
With comments to come back to us, the planning commission, to address those comments of concern.
Okay.
You're not approving anything tonight. You're only
Okay,
approving
so
the
this isn't the
advertisement.
final gig, and
No.
we still will have the week 4 meeting of not this month.
You got 45 days of public comment period.
Okay, so
You've
we
got a
won't be
number of
voting on
months
final
before.
approval this till
yes.
end
down
of
the road.
October at the absolute earliest.
I would guess it's probably going to be
You
closer to the
recall
end
the
of the year.
schedule I put out last month in the presentation, it showed it in more of an October, November
October,
timeframe.
November. Okay, given that, then I'll shut up.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I want to be,
I appreciate your candor.
okay.
Anybody else weighing in? Okay. Go back into moments or minutes for me. Do I have a motion?
So motion.
Okay. I got another one if I didn't the first time. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I think we just closed discussion, so I'll call the question. All in favor of 701 signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? I have a nay. 1 nay. The motion passes. Turning the sheet over, 7B.
So 7B is simply a follow-up to A, because one of the legal requirements is, as we begin to move through that, at some point, we're going to have an official public hearing. The date of that is not yet determined, as we just finished the last conversation, probably October, November till we get to that time frame. But the motion, all the same, is to begin that process so that when that happens, staff can do the things we need to do. That's all this is asking for.
Questions on that? Okay, is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. 702. Municipal Assistance Program grant application.
So fitting part and parcel to what we started the conversation about, next year we're going to be redoing the comp plan. That is a very long and expensive process, and one of the opportunities we have is to get some funding through what's called the MAP program, the Municipal Assistance Program. So Planning Commission last month, or this month actually, had somebody from York County down from the York County Planning Office to talk to the Planning Commission about it, and they suggested that we try for it because it funds 50% of your effort. So that's what this ask is. We need to prepare a resolution and approve a resolution that allows us to pursue that money to get that 50% funding.
Do we know what that amount of money is?
So right now, Gannett's putting the final numbers together. We believe it to be somewhere in the 50 to 60,000 range. I have it built into the budget already without it. So if I can get 50%, I am absolutely going to try if you'll let me.
I think that based on the definition of comprehensive plan, that would be money well spent, considering it takes into consideration virtually everything. So I would be for that.
Is that a motion?
I'll motion that.
Can I?
Thank you.
Can I make a comment?
You
still?
can.
Okay, long before I was on the council, I was appointed by Bruce Rebert to be on the Planning Commission with the focus of leading the charge on the comprehensive plan, the multi-municipal or whatever it was, comprehensive plan with Penn Township. And we were one of the first in the state that did that because it enabled us to use share farmlands and all that other trailer parks and other stuff that was required with them. And it was a long and sort of grueling exercise. But at the end of the day, I don't really know what the point of it all was or what came out of it. I'd like to know what we really used out of a very labor-intensive, time-consuming process. And I'm not putting you on the spot to tell me
Well, I'm
today.
happy to answer it.
Because I would, expect a far more researched
Now,
opinion.
your comprehensive
'Cause
plan
my
is your
answer would be, Why
keystone.
even bother to do it?
Your comprehensive plan is your legal keystone to every planning document that you put together. So when you do a zoning, it is supposed to be rooted in your comprehensive plan and what your comprehensive plan said it thought was a good vision for you.
And I hear all that, but I would challenge the 10 of us sitting here, or the 11, including the mayor, how many of us have ever even seen or read the document or have a copy of it? And my bet would be not so many. I just throw that out. Bill, you're laughing. Okay, I can believe you and I and Chuck
We find that
and
stuff.
probably Barb would have read it and not taken anything away from anybody else, but those that have read the rest of it, that count would go down substantially, and that's not taken away from anything, because it's not a real compelling read. It's not like the latest Grisham novel or anything going
Well,
around.
I think the other problem
But-
too is it's 10 years old. It's out of date. It was done with Penn Township. It's not totally focused on Hanover itself, the borough.
Well,
So
was it
you're sort of spinning an old RP, right? LP deal, because it's 10 years old. It
Well,
really
it's
doesn't have the same amount of
but
relevance.
I agree with you.
which
But
is
what
why
did
we need to
get
redo it.
out of it, and what then if we got anything out of the last one, what's the objective with doing a new one? And if we can't identify that, then why bother?
I think simply in one sentence, the objective is to refocus this community on the goals that are important to it.
Okay.
When you start doing the new comprehensive plan, do you look at the older one and look at what you've
Absolutely.
accomplished and? do I
We're
need
not going to
drop
throw it
or
out
add
completely. I mean, we have to start somewhere, so we might as well start there. But
Sure.
to Chuck's point, you need to see where you're at. I mean, you're 10 years
Certainly.
past that.
I would
So
assume you do
the
that, too.
challenges, everything you're facing from land use, from transportation, from natural resources, that's all changed. And that's what that effort's going to look at. That's why we're not going to be done with the comp plan in 2 months. A comp plan's going to take you, Sean, the planning consultant, he laughed when I said, I think we should be done somewhere in the year to 15 months. He went, oh, okay, we'll try. So it's going to be a while, but it needs to be a while because you need to spend time and talk about these things. You don't want to gloss over them. How many times have you been in a zoning hearing and the attorneys say, oh, yep, that meets the comp plan, we're good to go. You got to make the comp plan work to your advantage. It needs to protect your things. It's part of the reason now
Well,
that
then if
Hanover's
we
looking at
redo
its
it,
own.
then we maybe all ought to know what's in it and abide by it, because I don't believe we do. I was even part of the authors of it, and I don't even remember what's in it.
That's on you, me, and all of them. That's on us. Our responsibility as elected to govern this municipality is to come up with a good plan in the first place that hopefully is a little bit reactive, but also has some forward thinkingness to it, so that we can communicate to property owners, business owners, developers, if you will, what the ground rules are, what we're trying to encourage, what we're trying to discourage. When we think in terms of discouraging, we also have to be aware that just because we don't like it does not mean we have the legal right to prevent it. We were not elected to be God of this entity. We were elected to enforce the rules of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the Borough of Hanover, Pennsylvania. And some people in this room make their livings by some of these decisions.
Yeah.
I just hope that we understand that it is a process, which is Engineering Director Maines has been advocating. Not, you guys got into the weeds pretty quickly on this. He's just asking to start the organized process. And I thank you for supporting it. We have one more thing to support, and that would be to call the question on the MAP grant application. I've got a motion and a second. Can I get a all in favor signify by saying aye, please?
Aye.
You got a second. Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Yep.
On 8, finance personnel, local share account category 4 facilities grant.
Local share account is also known as the gaming money. This is one of our last gaming money from the casinos and gambling. Yep, gaming, I'm sorry. This is what we're asking to apply for a grant to purchase a refuse vehicle. We've been extremely aggressive in pursuing grants for this type of thing. 4 of our last 5 recycling and refuse vehicles we haven't paid more than 10% for. So we've either had 90% or 100% funding through grants. This is a 100%. And unfortunately, refuse trucks now, what we're looking at right now is $384,000. That's why we're looking for this grant. This is one of the last outlets we have for pure refuse. And I would ask that you consider our request to put in the application.
Are you looking at the same types of trucks, or are you looking at fitting out the truck to be able to pick up totes?
Sure. So that's part of what we're looking for in the future. We've been doing that as we go. So the counselor is referring to the tippers on the back. You'll see some of our trucks are outfitted with at least one. This will have 2 outfitted on the rear so that we can make that transition into carts or tippers, as you call them.
Is that the rolling trash cans?
Correct. Yeah. So.
Like the green ones? Yeah,
Yep.
I think that's
Yeah.
a brilliant move.
Toters is
and
another one. Well, it's certainly something we've been working at for years, but you have to have the equipment first to be able to do that. Obviously, as you
I have
heard
them
with
in
my
my
total,
house, and they're
very
the
expensive.
best thing going, because they're sturdy. I've had them for 10 years. The ones you get from Rubbermaid or whatever, you have them for a year and a half, and the wheels are falling off them, and I think that's a brilliant move. And I also want to give you a hell of a lot of credit, the town entirely, for all of the grant applications and successes that we've had, because I'm sure if our controller went back over the last, 20 years, we can amazingly have gotten in the last couple years 10 times plus the grant money that we've gotten in all of the prior years combined.
Let's
So
keep
I-
that rolling with a motion to do the next request.
Yes.
I make a motion.
I make a motion. Is there a second? Second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. With that, we will move to 9, reports of council, committees, and other public bodies. I don't have any to call your attention to. I have no management reports to specifically call out, nor correspondence and information. So that will bring us to our second and final public comment portion of the meeting. And I have quite a few of you. Okay, we just lost one. Did we lose 2 more? Nope, you're still talking. Mr. Holt, you're back up. I know you're solid for a second comment.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. There's always this comment about, do I come to all of these meetings? And yeah, I do. Because this is my government. This is where I live. There's nothing unique about me. There's nothing special. Really nobody. But the most greatest title I bear is the title I was bequeathed by our founders, and that is of a citizen. And that's why I'm here, and I'm not a special interest. I'm not asking for anything. I don't want anything except to have equal treatment, righteousness, and integrity for all the citizens of the borough, particularly the 3rd Ward. I've listened to discussion about this waivers and special exceptions, and believe me, if you had been to any of the planning commissions, which is probably one of the most open and robust of the borough committees, the most open and robust, one of the more of them, and there were months, and there was nobody in that room except the engineer, Sean Rarig, and myself. And there was plenty of opportunity for all of you to be there. And you would have benefited from it. You would have learned. I've learned a lot. To the point Scott Rarig looks at me and said, oh, they're going to expand the zoning hearing board. You should go for it. And I was like, no, thanks. But I will say this. When you do expand the zoning hearing board, you should guarantee that there was 1 seat for every borough ward, that there is a representative from each ward, and if you give us a guaranteed seat in the 3rd Ward, I'll work with you. We will find you a competent person to sit in that seat. There should be 5. And I've watched some of those guys have sat on the zoning hearing board. One of them, I swear I love him, he's a nice guy. I don't think he's never seen a exception he didn't vote for, and I'm just like in a special condition. Everybody's got an excuse, and I just think you got to give the citizens a chance and stop. I keep hearing about we don't want to do anything to harm business. And there was one situation where the planning commission was told a project was going to come back. It got approved, but they were going to come back and they were going to talk about placement of a dumpster, parking, what was going to be done with the green space. And Mrs. Funk was promised it was going to come back. It never came back, and in the end, the permit got signed off on what is called administrative review. And that was the end of it, and there was no more discussion. And so I think, it's time to end the looking the other way because we like somebody. Last thing, and I've asked over and over again for more robust discussion in the committees on the budget. And now here we are to September. Next month they're going to have the meeting. There's hardly been any at all discussion about the budget. And there's been plenty of opportunities, meetings canceled, meetings where they talked about everything but, and there was a chance to explain a lot of things that people want to know about and are important to them. And it just didn't happen, and I'm disappointed in that. And I really think that this whole process has to be changed. It can't be explained to the public in one meeting. I get you. I hear you.
Thank you.
But I went to the Here's the other thing. Go to other municipal meetings, Penn Township, West Manheim, Conewago. I mean, I don't like much television, so this is my amusement. But and that's where I heard the discussion about the library budget for 2026, and that Penn Township's contribution was going to be less than 50% of what it gave before, and there was all this money that had come in all of a sudden, and this work by a fundraiser, and I'm just like, my impression was the Library Board of Governors they played us. They've been playing us for several years. They're still playing us, and we need to stand up and tell them, you've got a finite time to get your house in order because you're no longer going to be on the borough's dole, and it's time to end it. You've tried, and I've looked at some of the numbers, and
Mr.
this year, yes, sir, this year, all the numbers on patronage, circulation, fees, they're all down for the library. The only cost that is fees, numbers that are going up, is the cost of the operating costs. And we need to have a serious discussion about where's the future for this library, but it can't keep going. It's unsustainable, and it's riding on our backs right now. And I'm thinking about the weak, the infirmed, the fixed income, people who are worrying about how they're going to pay their taxes for even this year. And I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Sandy Mel?
Sandy Mel, General Delivery. Mr. Holt, I guarantee you that library did not take you for a ride, and I'm working diligently to prove that. That being said, we'll move on. I need to clarify a statement that I made last week at a meeting regarding the attendance at the library. I failed to include that the drug dealers were not to use that library as a base of operations. This week, the individuals who sat in the reading room for years, then moved out into the atrium, have returned. They've been missing for a while. And when I went back to see who was in the tables, I could hear the older one saying to the younger one, "Get up, get up, somebody's coming." And he had his head down on the table, he was sleeping. Now, they think that if they open up a book or a magazine and lay it in front of them, that they're using the library for its intended purposes. I disagree. Then the second one is the one who lived in the house that abutted the Schmuck parking lot. And he has returned after a long absence as well. And he evidently got married in the meantime and also changed his appearance. When I saw him on Monday, I did not recognize him until later on in the day. So I'm sorry. Libraries aren't meant as a base of operations for these characters to will and deal. Also, at the meeting of the Board of Governors on Thursday, it was announced that they are going to carve up the Bear Center. And I respectfully suggest that you purchase and invest in an accordion divider so that you can maintain the whole room when necessary for events, especially when it comes to the book sale and how well the Friends of the Library have done. When they have been given the chance, they have raised quite a bit of money. They have put their heart and soul into that library.
I can ask you to conclude, Sandy.
Oh, one other thing, they've been running back and forth to the bathrooms, and I'll remind you that the teens are now downstairs, immediately outside the bathrooms.
Okay. Okay,
I think that's everything.
thank you. Next, we'll hear again from Jordan Ilias. You still want to? You're done? Okay. Yep, Chris, you're first. And then Kevin, you'll be an anchor.
Hey, again, back on 25 Maple with Jordan. This is not going to be about Jordan at this point. Some of you may not get to see the building, which he was designed with apartments in it. It's very beautiful. He's taken something my grandfather built in 1955, and he's turned around trying to do another beautification. I mentioned Darlene, I think it was Carol. You guys were looking to do improvements to the city, not to go backwards, right? If I heard you correctly. And one thing we found out is, in order to take that location and actually get somebody in there to actually appropriately do what we need to do to move forward, the only angle we see is what he's trying to do, what Chris Trone's done over the locations. He even bought the place there behind the Mexican restaurant, which was a motel, and turned them into apartments which have no kitchens, so that's substandard living as far as I can see that. So when he wants to do something like this, it progresses everything very highly. But here's the main thing I want to talk about right now. I'm maintaining that building while it's empty, hoping Jordan's going to have the opportunity to purchase it. What I would like from you guys, like I said, I can stick around for 15 minutes, is to come up with another idea plan for me for that building. I would love to hear from you what you would want to put in Hanover that would be acceptable. And that could be whether you want to purchase it, because what I heard a lot about was we don't have enough parks, areas, and I heard parking. Knock the building down, make it a big parking lot for these tractor trailers to park on angles so they have a place to put themselves so it's not dismaying the area. Whatever can be the ideas, please come to me about it, because we're out of ideas, and Jordan seems to be the road path who's also won awards for his locations that he done for you guys in Hanover. So, darling, like you mentioned, we want to make it beautiful. We don't want to make it go backwards. And here's the last thing I want to add. Me taking care of this building, I've had to ask 3 homeless people to exit it, which means they're using my downstairs entrance, it's outside too. It makes me want to open the door so they can at least go inside, and they're staying behind my back door, and the lady next door said someone was sleeping underneath your shelving. I said, I can't stop that. Right now it's vacant, so people can come and go as they wish. So I mentioned to hear what she's saying about the library. This building is already being a casting of people to inhibit themselves because no one's there, except when I'm there to mow or what I need to do. So please give me an idea. If Jordan can't take this and make something beautiful out of it, tell me what you want to make beautiful out of it, or if you wish to purchase it to make reasons for others.
Okay. And Kevin, you're welcome to come forward as well.
Hi, I'm Kevin Hodge. Just for perspective, I'm the real estate agent, one of the ones working with Jordan on this. But also for a little context, I've actually been involved in the Hanover community for, I was figuring right now, about 29 years. I was actually brought on with York County Economic Development, EDC at the time, for the Piltech site when that got redeveloped, for the Hanover residences when I was the one who was working with finding the developer who did that, which I think is a pretty nice project. Also, the first attempt on the McAllister, and then the second where it actually worked. But I want to give a little context from a real estate perspective as you look at ordinances and what zoning says. Zoning can say whatever, but the market's going to dictate whether there's something viable there. I mean, it could be zoned for an airport. It's not going to work, on a half-acre site. But I think that's one of the things to look at. Look at your ordinance. Look at what it says are allowed uses in that ordinance for that area. First of all, I don't think you want a motel. Or a tattoo shop or vaping and smoke shops. All those things are permitted uses there. A lot more traffic, gas convenience it could technically be. First of all, I'm going to tell you that we're not seeing the demand for that. We have it out on the market. Jordan is the only party that's stepping up, showing any level of interest, because we have it actively on the market right now. I mean, Jordan has got it under contract, but they have the ability to terminate that contract if something else comes in. Jordan's been very good about that. Hey, I'm not going to hold up something happening. But as he said, nothing is happening as far as any interest, and we don't have any viable plans or uses that we're seeing, that work in any manner that fit with the ordinance that you have. So that's where I would say, besides the argument on what's bordering around it, with it being residential, it's really not on the corridor for retail use. We can't make demand where it doesn't exist. And I think that's just my 2 cents as a real estate agent, as a person who's also, been involved in the community in a lot of ways. No, I don't live here. I live in Dallas town. But, that's what I've seen in the community and what's 6 months, probably.
Yeah, we've had it on the private market, and then we just listed it with them for about, I guess, close to that now, that we had it on the market. And so far, I've had 2 showings, and what was gonna go in there would be a flea market was one of them, which didn't make any sense to me at all. Okay, so that didn't progress. And the other one was thinking about using it as a storage, like Chris Strone does with the inside of his building over there, where Kleffels used to be. They have a storage inside. So a gentleman showed some interest in making that a storage unit to the inside. So that was the only 2 I've had so far. But I don't see any strong hold to those because they're realizing some of the upsides or downsides it's going to take to occur that. And that's why we always keep leading back. I hate to say this, but keep coming back to Jordan, which Jordan's been great hanging on through the process. That's why I'll take any ideas. If you guys are going to pass it for him, tell me what I need to do with that, because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen to it. It's going to become a slumlord. And I don't think the town wants that.
And it's a parking issue too, because any of these other uses are going to have a higher parking density than what honestly Jordan's going to need for it. So, any other questions? Or there you go. Thanks.
Thank you.
Name and phone number, sir.
Sure.
You're out, right, Grace? Okay. Community? Yeah, nobody. All right. We will conclude the second public comment, and I guess under announcements, as usual, please plan to exit the building 15 minutes afterwards to do staff the courtesy of being able to lock up, go home and rejoin their lives, and also that the chili cook-off will be held on Sunday, August 31st, Mountfield, 11 to 5, rain or shine. Motion to adjourn? Second. All in favor, aye, aye. Any opposed, nay, nay. We are adjourned.